Continuing on in section 2.9, in example 4, we're going to find a base. So right now we have 125%, so 125% of means times what number? That's our variable, that's what we're looking for. Is means equals, and then we have the 17.5. So all I did is change that like sentence in English to sentence in math. One more thing here that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my percent to a decimal. So again, we move it 2 places to get rid of the 2 circles there in my percent. 1.25 times x equals 17.5. I didn't change any of the rest of that. Now, my variable is being multiplied. I get rid of it by dividing. Whatever I do to one side, I do to both. And here we get 14. So 125% of 14 is 17.5. Double check, does that answer make sense? Well, since this is over 100%, this should be less than, because this should be more than where we started. So our answer seems like maybe it makes sense. Now, on your whiteboards, give this one a try. We want to know 30% of means times this what number? That's our variable, that's what we're looking for. Is means equals 12.5. So again, we just switched it from English to math. My next step is going to be to make my percent into a decimal. So I'm going to get rid of my percent sign and move my decimal away 2 places. So right now I have 0.3 or 0.30 x equals 12.5. To get my variable by itself, I go ahead and divide. And x is going to be 41 2/3. I take note on page 139 talks about our simple interest formula. The simple interest formula, I equals PRT, where I is the interest, P is the principal, R is our annual interest rate, written as a decimal. This is probably the part people are going to confuse the most. Annual means yearly, interest rate, and we write it as a decimal. So those are the important parts there. And then time in years. Don't forget that either. There's a list of some common percents as fractions on the top of page 140. So if we switch from decimals to fractions or percentages to fractions and decimals, it helps a little bit sometimes. You deposit $840 in a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. You want to keep the money in the account for 4 years. How much interest will you earn? So here, we want to check our answer for reasonableness as well. How much interest will you earn? Okay, in a simple interest rate. So how much interest? We're looking for interest with simple interest rate. So here my formula is going to be I equals PRT. We plug in what we know. Here, our deposit, our initial amount, that principal amount, P, is $840. Our interest rate, it tells me, is 4.5% per year. Make sure it's per year. And we enter that as a decimal. So 4.5% as a decimal. We move it 2 places. And we get 0.045. Then our time is 4 years. And we are looking for interest. So that's perfect. Time is 4 years, sorry. Now we can go ahead and multiply. So I take 840 times 0.045 times 4. I'm going to get $151.20. Now we want to check our answer for reasonableness. 4.5% is really close to 5%. And if we have that for 4 years, 5%, if we look at our chart, is close to 1/20. Times 4 years, multiply across, 4/20 gives me 1/5. So we want approximately 1/5 of 840. So the 151 seems reasonable. Now, you deposit $125 in a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 1.75% per year. You earn a total of $875 in interest. For how long was your money in the account? Feel free to pause here and give this a try. Okay, so here we're talking simple interest rate again, but we want to know for how long. So we're looking for T. So I equals PRT. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Here our initial amount, our principal, the amount we deposited, is $125. Our rate is 1.75%. Remember, we put that in as a decimal. So I move it 2 places away from my percent sign to get rid of it, and it's 0.0175. And then our interest here is our last piece of information, $875. So I'm looking for T again, don't forget. I can go ahead and simplify on my right side. It's not as simple as I can get it, so I can do that multiplication. I get 2.1875 times T equals the 8.75. Now my variable is being multiplied. I get rid of multiplication by dividing. And here I get 4 equals T, and that is in years. Our time is in years. So it took 4 years for us to get $875 in interest if we put in $125 at 1.75% annual interest. Last thing here, on page 140, there's a take note for solving percent problems. It's got some really good examples, proportions, and equations. So it shows you like what a problem would look like, which piece you're missing, how to set it up as a proportion, how to set it up as an equation, and it's a really great resource. So if you're doing some of these and you get stuck, feel free to look back on page 140. And a quick recap here. Problems involving percents can be solved using either proportions or the percent equation. And if a percent is written as a fraction, a proportion can be used to solve a percent problem. That's all I have for section 2.9.